hope from the sea.
Hey, what's up out there? David Cravens, the Relentless Hope Podcast. I've got my
She's crazy.
beautiful librarian. Dance. I'm just kidding. My
No
beautiful
dancer.
wife,
What's up, everybody? It's Jonna
Cravens.
Cravens.
I gotta remember her last name. Someday she wants to forget it. No, I'm just
That's a
playing.
lot.
I'm just playing. What's up out there? Thank you guys, everybody who's been liking, subscribing, watching. We had an excellent episode last week. We had our boy B Calls on here.
Come on.
Check that out if you haven't already. Go out and watch the other ones. Like, subscribe, comment. We need all that to get in the algorithms. You know,
Algies.
algae. Also, go to relentlesshopemusic.com. There's a link in the description to get some Relentless Hope merch. We're wearing these new Relentless Hope power couple powered by God, because we're really not a power couple if God wasn't powering us, you know? So go get you one of these. Get you and your wife or you and your husband one of these. Surprise them. Matter of fact, buy your mom and your dad and your brother and your sister.
Your uncle,
It's hard
your
out here, man. I
grandma.
got a lot of kids and it's summer and these kids are eating, man. And then I got two Cane Corsos and they're eating. So go buy some merch, man. Let me tell you something. Jeez, got to push this. While I'm at it, you see this drink right here? It's a Clean Cause. I'm all into some commercials today. Clean Cause energy drink here, Yerba Mate, 100% clean, 100% organic caffeine. We're affiliate with them. They support
tastes
Relentless
good.
Hope, and it's good because it's all about that. And 50% of them goes to profit recovery from drugs and alcohol. That's what we're all about. So Clean Cause, that's all you see because we support the good cause. So, and I'm all hopped up on one right now. I'm not
This is
going.
the second one. I apologize. So listen,
Go ahead, baby.
today we're
She's gonna take over. I
we're
talk too
here.
much.
Yes.
I'm high
And
on Clean Cause.
and Father's Day is coming up after this airs. Of course, it'll be after Father's Day.
Yes.
But I just wanted to touch on Father's Day because I feel like there's so much hype around Mother's Day, you know, and yes, mothers are important, but fathers are equally as important. So I just wanted to give you your flowers today, just because, and I'm going to cry.
Don't
but-
cry. Good things grow from the concrete.
Just because I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
And how far you've
Don't
come.
make me cry.
I know.
I'm all hopped up on daggone Clean
You'll
Cause.
be crying and running around the
Man,
room.
I'm gonna be crying while I'm running.
But just the hard work that you put in.
Now Diana's crying. The girl on the controls over there. What the heck is going on in here today?
Listen here, shut up, boy. I'm
All
talking.
right. I love you, baby. I'm sorry.
But just I just wanted to give you your flowers for real, just because, and happy Father's Day early, just because how much growth that you've had and how much change you've had and just putting all the work on your dreams. And I am so proud of the man that you become and the father that you are.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
So
I love you. She got to choose this topic. She's like, I'm going to talk on Father's Day and I'm going to help you out. And I'm like, okay, awesome, baby, do it.
let's go.
But yeah, fathers are important. And, you know, you're right. Mother's Day, you know, and I'm just going from church and I always make this joke and I miss my father-in-law. He was a good man. This is obviously going to be a tear-jerking session. But I remember me and him joking one Father's Day. We were like all out to dinner or lunch or whatever. And I was like, how come it is every Mother's Day at church, they give the mom roses.
Oh, yeah.
They have
Some
them come up.
chocolate.
They preach a message like, mothers, where would we be? And then when it's Father's Day, they're like, men, you better do better. You're a
Doing
felon.
love.
But you know what? That's the way it is. That's the character. But, you know, sometimes it's good to hear like, hey, dads, you're doing okay. Because you hear more deadbeat dads. Dad ain't at home. Dad's always at work. Dad's gone. And I've been all of those things at one time or another. Bad husband, bad father. But, you know, let's talk about our dads a little bit since we're going to talk about. You want to go first?
Man.
Because I got like 10.
I know.
No, I love you, Cindy. That was a joke. I'm joking.
Oh
I'm
my
making
gosh.
light of a serious
Hey,
situation.
I'm gonna read 3 good quotes about Father's Day
You do
first. The nature of impending fatherhood is that you're doing something that you're unqualified to do and then you become qualified while doing it. I was like, dang, that's a good
That's
one.
good.
I cannot think of any needed in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection.
Facts.
Another reason why fathers
Relentless
are so
Hope
important.
Nugget.
And here's a good one too. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men.
That's good. Those are good, babe. So let's talk about Gary Wayne.
Let's talk about Gary.
Let's talk about
Wayne.
Pops. Again, we
My
did an
first
interview
hero.
with Chad Arms. Shout out Chad Arms TV in Nashville and
Melly Mel.
Melly Mel. And I remember why we were doing it. It's funny if we watch it now because I'm trying to perfect. I work on it, not cutting people off talking. Which the
You're doing
podcast has
much
been
better on
good
that.
because it's more of an interview thing, and I'm kind of let people talk and then
Yeah.
trying to get it in. And me and my boy B Calls last week was all hopped up on
Both of you.
clean. So we were talking like crazy. We're gonna bring him back again, because he put it out there and
He was a natural,
He really,
wasn't he?
oh man, he stole the show. So but he was hopped up on clean calls because it's an amazing, organic, healthy energy.
What makes an ordinary day extraordinary? It's not about holding on to what you know. It's about letting go. Take the leap beyond the familiar. Find what you're searching for. Here's to connection, to exploration, to being alive in the moment. That's what makes a day extraordinary. Behind every ripple and every splash, something refreshing is brewing.
But I've been trying to practice that, right?
Self-control. And
Self-control.
letting other people talk. And you're getting much better at it.
Getting much better, right?
So you're making a point about Chad Arms.
Yeah, Chad Arms TV. Yeah, I lost it, So
Here we go.
Squirrel. You want to go fishing? Want to go fishing? The Starsky and Hutch.
You only
He's like,
one a
who feels
day.
like dancing?
You hear
Starsky
me?
and Hutch.
I'm gonna start hiding
Yeah.
these from you.
But no, I'm just joking. I'm in a good mood today. I love when we get to come down here and be with Miss Diana and do
Yes.
podcasts. It's like a release for us
We
because
get to see Tim
we
Jarrett.
get to see vote Tim Jarrett. The video's blowing up, so keep sharing it out there.
Right.
But so we went on Chad Arms, and I remember when it was your part. He was like kind of filming us both.
Yeah.
And if you watch that hour-long video, it tells so much about us. You can see my face when Jonna starts talking about certain events in life. I'm like, oh, are we going to talk about
We're
this?
going there.
And then you got to think how I knew my father-in-law. I knew him as a Christian,
Yeah.
a good man, a good dad, good
the
father-in-law.
redemptive Gary.
And so when Jonna goes, well, I went through abuse. I go, well, not abuse. And I like cut her off and totally shut
Dismissed.
down her feelings and what she went through as a kid because I only knew my father-in-law at one time. You know what I mean? So share a little bit about your father and Pops and how your childhood was and then how it ended and all that.
So Pops was a Vietnam vet. His parents were alcoholics, as he was an alcoholic. That was their way of life. My grandpa was in the Army as well. He was in the service, but he was a very hard person. So he was abusive to Pops. I remember him taking me out to this shed one summer when we got to go visit him, and it was full of razor straps. And he's showing these to me, and I'm like, what the hell kind of person still has this crap in his shed, in his garage? I remember him telling me that he had used these on my dad, and I
That's
just
crazy.
remember, and it was my brother and I remember looking at him and telling him, if you put a hand on my brother, I will kill you. And I didn't just say that. I was probably
Right.
doing a little curse word there. And I was in fifth grade.
She was a little cusser.
Yeah. But
Now she's a big cusser. But she loves Jesus.
no cap. But I was protective of my brother, but that gave me, I remember getting a sneak preview of how my dad's life must have been. And then I remember them making us drinks for them and just some crazy stuff
that he went through.
Yeah.
And
And for the first time in my life, I got an eye opening of why my dad was the way that he was.
And you were only in fifth grade and you recognized it, like this ain't normal.
But here was the thing, though. Even though my dad really never spent a lot of time with me, never came to my games, he was out in the garage drinking. That was his character then. But I love my dad, and there was nobody that was going to come in and try to take his place. Like,
Right.
I wasn't having that either. I was super protective of him, and when my parents had trouble, my mom bring somebody home and I chase them off. I'm like, no, this ain't happening. And I was little, you
Right.
know, and then with the
Dirty.
yeah,
Dirty girl.
dirty,
No, I'm just
dirty
playing.
girl.
I love my mother-in-law. I'm just playing.
But then I remember my dad, you know, them being separated and him coming back, and he had an episode where he had an alcoholic seizure. And I remember him getting airlifted, and I remember him having to make the decision. The doctors telling him that if he didn't quit drinking, you know, he was going to die. And I just remember being scared, thinking, oh man, this is serious, even though, you know, I was like in 5th grade or 4th grade, I think. But I remember my dad coming back home, and he had totally quit drinking. And he really wanted, I could see the genuineness, and he wanted to make the change. I remember the Power Team, remember them?
Mhm.
Was at
John
church.
Jacobs?
Yeah, and it was my birthday, and my dad would never go
They
to
always wear
church.
really cool pants.
Yeah.
Remember those things? But go ahead.
If you
I'm
wanna
sorry.
call 'em that.
You can't help
You
it.
could put an
Remember that?
elephant in
Though?
them
I
bad
remember they
boys.
came to our church too
Yeah,
back
them
in the
things are
day.
big,
They'd
man.
blow up water bottles
Yeah,
and break
break the
baseball
bricks
bats and all that.
Rip
Remember, I
the
broke
phone
bricks.
books. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did. And the phone book.
But go ahead.
So I remember it was my birthday. My dad would never go to church. And I was like, please, Dad, please just come to church. You know, it was so important for me because, man, I just wanted him and my mom to get back together. And he did. And he got saved. And that was the beginning of a totally different Gary, you know?
But share a little bit. I'm just going to get real, like, because I shut you down on the Chad Armstead and
And you feel bad
made
about
it.
that.
I do. I'm trying to make amends here.
You should, because I'm going to hit you with
Work.
my flip flop.
Oh my goodness gracious, my floppies.
My floppies. Don't
But,
make me catch a case, son.
I'm trying to, we take our marriage serious, and that's a
Yes.
big thing for us. And I'm trying to,
Yeah.
not. It's easy when you've had trauma to downplay somebody else's trauma, like,
Right.
A foot ain't as bad as a head, and we'll get into that in a minute, But so share some of your trauma so they
Yeah.
can see how it went and then how it turned out.
Yeah. So my dad was very abusive. I was the middle child, of course, and Mark
It's
had,
wild.
you know,
We love you, Marcus,
little Marky
and
Mark.
Lorene, and 3 boys.
He had some little afflictions, you know. He had asthma and allergies.
He's got some nice biceps.
The boy is
Mark,
ripped.
you got some nice biceps. Your legs,
is
I'm gonna help you
ripped.
out, but your biceps looking good.
Listen, he has me Moz legs. So, yeah, and he just, I don't know. He just kind of took a lot of stuff out on me, not on Mark so much because he was, younger and
And your
and
sister was a little bit older.
Kendra
so
was
she's kinda
older,
into
and
it.
I think I was more
You're hard-headed.
tender-hearted. I was hard-headed for sure, but I was also tender-hearted, So whenever I would cry, he was like, "You don't cry." And that's
Right.
stems from why I don't really
Right.
cry.
I cry more than she does.
Yes. It's very rare, like I just did a little
Yeah.
while ago. But he was very abusive. He would do things like duct tape our nose and our mouths, and and slam my head into the wall and tell me I wouldn't amount to anything. And I believed that.
Right.
I believed what he told me, and then later, and I really don't even like to really touch on that stuff too
Yeah,
much.
well, don't
because
touch on
it's
what
done,
you want. I just want to
know,
say, yeah.
and he changed, and I know he felt really guilty. I remember later as I got older, I remember my first drug rehab I went into, and they were trying to teach us to get out our feelings and stuff. And man, I actually felt bad because I ripped him. I mean,
Right.
I stood in front of him and just
let him have
let him have it, which I needed to do for me. And he actually had tears in his eyes,
And he wasn't a big crier either.
No, because he taught me that. You
Right,
don't cry.
yeah.
Crying is weakness. He taught me that. And I remember just letting him have it, and he had tears in his eyes, and he just kind of looked at me, and he said, "I'm sorry,"
Right. Yeah.
And Pops wasn't a real emotional person, but I knew from his growth and his change that
Right.
he was sorry. But unfortunately, that damage had been done. So no matter the fact that
Sometimes-
he had changed and he was no longer that person, he was no longer abusive. Pops became my greatest
You
hero.
still had some patterns
Yeah.
that you went from
Yes.
that. And a lot of times, you look for what the trauma and hurt was in a man. So like if you was somebody abused you,
Yeah.
you'll look for that in a man. Like that's kind you
Because
won't
you
look for it,
think
but
it's
that's what you
normal.
accept.
You
If somebody
gravitate
talks
towards
to you a
that.
certain way.
That's right.
And same thing with a man. If a woman, let them do whatever, you look from a woman's gonna let you do whatever, or tells them they're no good, whatever it is,
Right.
right? So that probably led into a lot of your relationships. We won't get into all that.
Yeah.
They know our story as far as that goes. So so you still had that hurt, but then bring it up to like the police academy years.
Okay, well, even
She was a sexy police academy
Oh,
girl
Lord
running
Jesus,
over the
boy.
bridge while I was driving to eat McDonald's. She was jogging the Caloosahatchee River.
back and forth, back and forth. Later in life, after Pops had changed and everything, and I'd gotten hooked on drugs real bad. Got hooked on Oxycontins, Roxycontins, crystal meth, all at the same time, Xanax. And I remember just looking at my dad's face and my brother's face, and it just broke their heart, But unfortunately, I had this pain in me that only, that I could heal. I had to find that healing for that. And I just remember I remember calling him and being like, I was suicidal. That happened several times. I tried to take my own life. I remember one time calling him and being like, I'm just done with this. I'm done with this. I've got to get out of here. I remember my dad driving left from work, drove all the way to South Carolina, picked me up, and then drove all the way back to Florida.
He was crazy.
I mean, there was just nothing that he wouldn't do for me.
Yeah. He was trying to make up too, and he believed in you. You know what I mean?
Leaps and bounds. So I just remember seeing the disappointment in his face every time I would fall back into drugs, and so then I fast forward. And when I was with the deadbeat guy, it would just kill him. It would kill him.
No,
I'll say what I want.
So
So then years later, I go and realize that, man, I need to get clean. I need help, So I go into a detox and then get accepted into Teen Challenge, which was all God, by the way, because I didn't have a dime. Shout out to TC.
Teen Challenge.
So I go into Teen Challenge, and I don't know. I love my mom, but I just never really needed her approval like I needed my dad's. I don't know if it's because my dad and I were so similar, or because I knew. I don't know. I was just
maybe he
to him.
Put that in you from all that you wanted to prove to him. So you always, or whatever.
And maybe you're right.
And
maybe
your mom was more of the one,
Yeah, but whatever it was, I just remember, like in Teen Challenge, they would ask you, well, okay, what are you going to do when you get out? And I just always had this thing in me from the time I was little. I always remember, man, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, like some little boy was being mean. Well, I'm going to beat you up. Like, I just always had that, like, yes. Yeah. I was always very much a girl, but I was a tomboy as well.
She's a girl that will kick your apple.
So I go into the police academy, and I just remember my dad, and it wasn't that easy to get in it too. And thank God I'd never been arrested. So that was all God too. But I go in the police academy, and I just remember seeing just the pride on my dad's face, And Mark couldn't go into the Air Force like he wanted to because of his asthma, and he couldn't be a pilot. So that kind of squashed that part of carrying on going into the service.
You'll always be my pilot, Mark.
So then, you're creepy. So then,
I love you, brother.
Get him a pair of them little wings.
You're my brother.
So I go into the police academy, and my dad, this is how unselfish he was. He would go pick me up at like 5 a.m. and take me there because I didn't have a car yet. I was still doing part of the reentry and Teen Challenge, and he would just, and like my shoes, I had to shine my shoes every night. My uniform had to be just, it was straight, it was straight military, but he taught me how to shine my shoes. And a lot of times I'd be so tired because I'm doing my schoolwork at night, and I would go over because they had Adriana. I would go over there and help with dinner, and get her to bed, and then have to do my homework and stuff. And my dad would be like, well, let me help you shine your shoes. Cause he just knew I had this big load, and I was trying so hard to do it. And then I remember like running the bridge and hearing honk, 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 and there's my dad going across the bridge, letting me know that he supported me. Yeah,
That's
it
awesome.
was just.
So, and those mornings he was giving you a ride because you had to come pick you up early and all that before he was still working at that time. Before he retired.
Before he had to go
was
to
a long
work.
time ago. You guys got to kind of rebuild that relationship, right? I mean, even though you guys were already working on it, but you had changed your life, and he was rebuilding on it, right?
And sometimes, because Pops he liked to listen to talk radio. It was just riding in silence, but it was just the fact that I'm riding with him,
right,
and I'm doing something that he had a passion for.
Right.
Not necessarily law enforcement,
right,
but it was more of a military kind of thing,
Right.
and he couldn't have been more proud. And the fact that that I had even failed one of my exams out of making a poor decision, you know, letting Adriana see her dad, and he went and shot up, and it just crushed me because I felt like a failure as a mom. You know, I'm
Right.
like, man, I've done all this to change, and I let her see this, and I failed my exam. And if you fail an exam, then you're out of the academy. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh. But I was like, all right, this isn't gonna define me.
Right.
I'm going right back in. So signed myself right back in, did everything I needed to do, kept training daily, run,
Right.
weights, working out. And then got right back into the next
And then
you know,
got your
class
certification.
and got my certification. I just remember my dad just, you know,
Was proud of you.
Yeah.
You made him proud. In those moments, you know, of spending the time in the car, like I said, it was silent, but sometimes those are the best moments.
those are the
'Cause
best.
sometimes you learn, you know, just being with the person, right?
Yeah.
So you got your certification. Okay, let's fast forward. Me and you, right around that time, you know, whatever, we start talking and get together. And I remember the first time I went to lunch, I didn't have nowhere to go, and
Yeah,
it was Easter.
It was Easter.
I didn't have no family here. And the kids were gone over, you know, anyway, they were babies. And I went to eat with you
Mhm.
at your parents' house. And I
Dr.
remember,
David
you
and
know,
Annie.
you know, I don't meet a stranger. So I went in there and just talking like I'm supposed to be there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I remember him saying, "What do you do for a living, boy?" So, "What do you do for a living, boy?" And I said, "I move pool tables for a living." He's like, "Is that a thing?" I was like, "You'd be surprised, you know, what comes
Mhm.
home in my pocket some days, you know." And fast forward, you know, I don't think they were thrilled about me at first, you know, but as time went on, I had a way to chip him down and win it
yeah.
over. But
He loved
and
you.
then he was my best friend, you know, when he died. We had conversations that I won't tell you guys, but they were funny conversations that my brother-in-law was like, "You guys really sent Texas," like just laughing stuff. He'd come to UFC party fights that we
he could be
had.
himself.
Yeah, and one thing about me is I don't change around nobody. I'm the same person all the time. And whether you got $1 million, whether you got $10, I'll treat you the same. And we got really close over time, and even through our bad times, John and I splitting up and violent stuff and crazy. We had our differences. He was mad at me or disappointed
But
in
he
me.
never was for divorce.
But
ever.
yeah, but he always said, "Why are you guys doing
Yeah.
this when you're together and you're doing good? You're so great. You know, get over this. What is going on?" And, you know, up until the day he passed, you know, he was. But then, you know, I
But you
remember.
know what? I'll never forget. One thing I just never forget. I'll never forget, number one, that he told us how proud of us he was.
Mhm.
And that wasn't something that I got a lot in life. You know, I don't think I've ever one time in my life gotten that from my mom. My dad, of course, that meant so much to me when he did tell me that. But I
Right.
remember him telling us,
You guys bounced back. He
I'm
wrote it
s-
in a
yeah,
card.
Yes.
He said, "I'm so proud to
Yeah.
see you guys bounce back."
And I still have
Because
it.
we went from felony stops to God back on top.
Ankle
And that
monitors.
just ain't a fake rap lyric. That's a true story. And I remember him telling us that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I remember us walking in the hospital,
Oh,
and
we walk in the hospital, and this is after
COVID.
Yeah.
and
Well,
all
and
that.
we couldn't see him for the first week, which was
Yeah, it was
so stupid,
crazy.
and it sucked because we had no idea what they were
Yeah.
giving him or what they were doing, or
Right.
just the fact that he had to
After
be
that.
by himself. And then they let us come in there, and you know we had to get all masked up. It was the COVID wing,
All right. Yeah.
and
We don't want the video to get flagged or nothing like that. You got to be careful saying too much stuff and getting
Yeah.
into it.
so but we walk in, and I just remember, you know, us two walking in and how happy he was to see you, and I
Yeah.
took a picture of it.
Yeah, we still got a
because-
picture of him. He shook my hand, you know, he grabbed me. He said, because he was telling the nurses, "My son-in-law, he's buff and he'll come in here and break me out of here,"
He's
you know.
6'2".
Yeah, he had me a lot bigger than I was, you know. But
But he
but
loved
saying
you.
that, you know, he when you learn somebody's past, the razor straps, and as you think about that now and all the classes we've taken and the messages we listen to about family lineage and legacy and where they come from, when you know somebody's past, it doesn't mean that you forget what happened, but you give them grace and mercy to know that
Absolutely.
he came from abuse, and then he went to Vietnam and seen God knows what, and then came on. He didn't know anything different.
Well, it made me understand.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know,
You can give them grace and mercy. So, you know, on this Father's Day is coming up, but by the time this airs, it'll done been passed. But still, you know, we salute Gary Wayne. We love him. We
R.I.P.
miss him.
Pops.
Pops. Get into my fatherhood. Oh, geez, here we go. You might want to know, but you know, my dad, I was born, you know, my dad's name was Wilburn David Cravens. He was a hillbilly. No, but and then I was born Little Dave in Nashville, Tennessee. You know what I mean? And I will start crying.
That's all right.
But you
Where's
know,
the
I
tissue?
seen stuff as a kid. You know, my dad was a hard worker. He was a hustler. You know, he told me at a very young age, why you tell a kid this young, you got to carry a gun or a lunchbox, and sometimes both of them. And you know, so whatever he was doing, whether it was robbing banks or whether it was working at a produce company, he excelled at it. He was a hard worker, you
Yeah.
know, at whatever he did. So I grew up seeing stuff, but at a young age, domestic violence, you know, alcohol, drugs, affairs, all that stuff. My parents got divorced when I was very young. And so my dad, I remember the guy who's supposed to protect you and the guy you look up to, you know, even up till the day he died, he tough son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Just the way
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, I said it. And
He
but you
was.
know, he was a tough dude. And so he leaves, and then, you know, my mom's doing what she thinks she needs to do to keep us safe or whatever. And another guy comes in my life who, man, you know, get into that. So,
Wrecked it.
you know, I didn't see my dad from 8 years old till 15 or 16. Like, you know, he was gone. So when I did see him, now I'm already, some bad things happened to me from another guy. And now I've got all these thoughts of, you know, where's my dad? What's this? You know, my mom's trying to do both, overly too much. And
The best she knew how.
so by 15, 16 years old, I done got a good right hand and a bunch of anger. And but now you always hear stories like your dad always did this. So I'm always trying to, you know, I say it in one of her songs, trying to be like daddy, always kept my mama praying. So I was like, I'm gonna knock many dudes out. And my dad was a boxer, so I'm a boxer. And this, so it set me up for this trying to be like him, which is crazy. And you know, so when he came back in my life, you know, I experienced things that a 16-year-old kid shouldn't experience at that age. Again, you know, drugs, seeing things I shouldn't, bar fights at a young age, which again, man, you know, it made me who I am. I don't shy down from it. But it wasn't how fatherhood was supposed to be. And, you know, and Larry came in my life, but I was a man. Now, Larry was already in my life because now, as we turn into the Jerry Springer edition of Relentless Hope, Larry is my uncle. So he was my dad's brother. My mom married him, which Larry was always my favorite uncle. Larry had taught me how to do pool tables,
how to ride a dirt bike.
Larry taught me how to ride dirt bikes. So he was my favorite uncle already. And he's been good to my mom, you know. So when they got married, I was like, yeah, I was cool with it. And my sister kind of was like, no, we're not cool with it. And I'm like, well, I guess we're not cool with it because Heather said so.
Heather D said.
And so, you know, I was already a man though when Larry came in my life, a very immature, fragile man, even though I had a tough exterior. So nobody ever taught me about money. Nobody ever taught me about don't do this. You know, Larry has his own past, you know what I'm saying? And not saying he's been a great husband to my mom and great dude to me, but nobody ever taught me, you know, hey, buddy, you need to put this money back. Hey, this is how you run this. Hey, you know, I was like, hey, buddy, you got 1,000, spend it. You got 2,000, you know?
Right.
And so a lot of these values of being a faithful husband, being a good steward with money, I learned how to work hard because the Cravens are hard workers, right? And I learned how to do that. But I missed a lot of fatherhood stuff. And I don't want to be where I dog my dad. I love my dad. And I had a time, you know, where I went and worked with him. And we got to work stuff out. We were so much alike. We get in fist fights and, you know, do all this crazy. And I looked a lot like him and stuff. But we got a time older in life that we got to work that out, apologize, whatever. Yeah. And why you want to talk about Father's Day, man? Jeez, but Nelly. But you know, so you know, I got to work a lot of that out, and you know, there's good times too. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But a lot of times when somebody passes, we forget. We only talk about the good times, and we forget there's a lot of bad times and stuff that we have to break off so it doesn't go on to our kids. And you know, so a lot of my young years and young father and stuff I did to my older kids and kids that aren't in my life or whatever was a repeat of what I swore I would never be. That's why I take it so serious. Like people are like, oh man, you know, I'm trying to my boys,
Mm,
you know, Jackson, you don't want to be a womanizer.
no.
You know what I mean?
And he
Jackson,
is
what's on
not.
that internet? That's not real. Jackson, I'm having talks that nobody had with me. You know what I'm saying? This is how you take care of this. This is how you're supposed to love a woman.
Right.
This is how a marriage is supposed to be. This is how, and you know, and young in their life, I wasn't no perfect, but you know, we try to show the best marriage that we can to teach the kids what we are, you know. So
Right.
I try to be a good father. You know, there's probably a few select women that would probably say I was a horrible husband and a horrible father, and they're probably right. Um, but I know nowadays, I look back and my dad's childhood. You know, my dad left home at 12 years old. My
Mhm.
dad went to reform school. My dad knocked his stepmom out and the principal out in the same day. You know what I mean? So and things happened to him as a kid in
That's right.
reform school that reformed him. So as I look back and learn this stuff, I give him grace. And he loved me. Don't get me wrong. I could call Big
Yes.
Dave in the middle of the night and say, "Hey, bro, cops are looking for me." He'd be like, "Get on a school bus or get on a Greyhound bus and get out of here."
Mhm.
And he was always there for me in that sense. But he didn't call me. I had to call him. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And a lot of those things. So, but I take the good qualities. You know, a sense of humor, the sayings. Oh, he would say
Hard
some.
work.
He a hard worker and things like that. And then Larry being in my life at a change. You know, he taught me hard work and
Teach you a
always done a lot
trade.
of things for me in a trade. So this is the suckiest topic we could ever have.
No, I
But
think this is so important because you realize how
the thing
important
is,
fathers
you know,
are.
I'm thankful for all the men who've been in my life, even spiritual fathers, like Pastor Paul Yapa at one time, you
Mhm.
know, and still is this, you know, was and like I said, Larry, you know, in the last 15, 20 years, me and you know, he's
Shout out to
somehow I
Larry.
became the father. Now, no, I'm just kidding. We won't tell those stories, but you know, so I'm thankful for all that. But God the Father, you know, God taught me trusting in Jesus, how much He loved me. You know what I'm saying, and what a father should be like. So my goal is to finish, and I've said this before, is to be my kid's hero. I want to be my kid's hero, my wife's hero. And
And you
you
are.
know, and sometimes I have to apologize. You know, I lost it on Jackson before, and I have to go, "Hey, buddy, I love you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation. I didn't handle that right."
Right.
And have the talk because I want him to be this legacy. The iniquities stop with us. That's where I'm at. The
Yeah.
iniquities stop with us for our kids. You know what I mean? To be good fathers. I want Elijah and Jackson to grow up to be good
And
fathers
good mothers,
and
yeah.
good mothers. But I mean, we're talking
We've
about
done that
fathers.
with Bree, and yeah.
You know, so I'm thankful to my dad. I love my dad up until he passed away. You know, we talked 2-3 times a
Wow.
week, laughed, you know, and I didn't get to tell him bye. I didn't get to go there. So, you know, happy Father's Day, Jana. But you know, it's rough, and you realize you can heal, but some
Mhm.
of that stuff is re-healing every day, re-healing every year, re-healing every
Absolutely.
month. And you know, when you start talking about it, it brings it up. You know what I mean? And so I was thankful. I don't want to bash my dad. You know, he was good. He was a good man. He was a hard worker. But as a dad, you know, at a young age, you know, I don't want to be like that. You know what I
No.
mean? I used to want to be like him, and I gave my mom hell. And you know, she tried to be mom and dad sometimes, and you know, a little overboard, too much love when there. So with that being said, we're going to get off of this podcast, and I'm going to drink this clean cause
You're
right
not giving
here
the-
and dry my eyes. And we got Diana crying on the controls over there, but
But to
no,
go back to where we started, I think it's so important. This is why fathers are so important in the home because
oh, nowadays,
you know it's lacking and you
well, we
still
demasculine
carry.
it.
Yeah,
It's like
they're
take the
demasculized.
dad out of the home, make the dad soft, you know what I mean? All this stuff. Like if you
Wear nail polish.
discipline your kids and do this, you're a mean guy, and
No,
it's
absolutely not.
you got to have the father in the house. You know, I think the mother should be there, you know, the baby needs the mother, but as a boy gets older, he needs his dad, or a daughter. They
Mm-hmm.
need the man part of it. And that's why it's important for the unit, you know. And so any father out there doing it, just because you're at home and you work don't mean you're being a father. I used to think, well, I worked all week and I come home and I sat in a chair. Where now we try to spend time with the kids and doing things and building memories, because I don't have any memories. You know, you're fortunate in that you got pictures of Washington, D.C. I don't have none of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I want to make sure people are like, man, you guys got, and we make a thing on our refrigerator. Like every time we go to Busch Gardens or we go to Orlando or we go, there's another picture. And like, why do you do that? Or the kids are like, I don't want to take, well, I want to take a picture because I want to have those memories. I don't have a picture of me and my dad. You know what I'm saying? I don't have one. So I want to make those memories because it's important. The fathers, we've got to put the men back in charge, and men got to be in charge. You know, more women go to church than men. Men should be signing up for marriage conferences. Men should be, every time there's something, getting the family to go. And we don't do it, and we need to.
Absolutely. And I have to say that's one of the important things. I remember when we were separating, getting back together, and you were the one who signed us up for counseling. That was, you know, you took the leadership role. You took the head of the family and made that happen, you know? So I just wanted to let you know that I'm so proud of you. And
we love you guys. So
happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Stay relentless. Like, subscribe, share. We love Miss Diana over there on the controls. We love all you guys out there. CleanCalls.com. Get it.
What makes an ordinary day extraordinary? It's not about holding on to what you know. It's about letting go. Take the leap beyond the familiar. Find what you're searching for. Here's to connection, to exploration, to being alive in the moment. That's what makes a day extraordinary. Behind every ripple and every splash, something refreshing is brewing.